Hey everyone, welcome to our 8th day of doing YouTube Live consecutively. Siddharth, you can stop smiling. I have it on speaker view, so people can't see you right now. Okay, so today's video is going to be on WhatsApp newsletters. This is something that has really emerged in the last couple of years. I had not heard about WhatsApp newsletters until we ourselves started a WhatsApp newsletter. We started a WhatsApp newsletter not knowing what it was or anything like that about 7 or 8 months ago, and we now have around 2,000 subscribers. It kind of blew my mind that we could grow it to that level. And we know many people who have grown giant WhatsApp newsletters. There was this guy, I forgot his name, Siddharth, you'll be able to tell me, Palak Joshi?
Palak Zatakia.
Palak Zatakia, who grew a WhatsApp newsletter to 50,000 subscribers. We know Dine with Data, who are currently at around 3,000 subscribers, and there are many other people like this in the several thousands. And so the question keeps coming to us is as to why the hell have you started a WhatsApp newsletter, right? Because in the US, they keep saying like, oh, do an email newsletter. Email newsletter is the best thing in the world. So Siddharth, why should somebody start a WhatsApp newsletter? Why did we start a WhatsApp newsletter? What's the advantage of starting a WhatsApp newsletter?
Just take our personal experiences. My email inbox is just full of spam, right? And every now and then I have to invest time to just make sure I unsubscribe to a bunch of emails so that I just get relevant emails. If you look at the open rates, in India around WhatsApp, around email opens or open rates, it's fairly small because your email gets buried with like all the other brands that are throwing spam in your email inbox, versus WhatsApp open rates are through the roof because everybody opens a WhatsApp message. It's low effort and stuff like that. That was primarily the reason why we wanted to do WhatsApp, so that the content that we were creating with the Indian Dream reaches the people in a way where they're aware of what we are creating and they can consume what they like.
Yeah, and I think Americans are a lot more into email. Indians are not so much into email as Americans. Indians tend to be a little bit more informal. They don't like the formality of email. And even in the workplace, you see a lot more people using chat in India than using email. That's why Slack was such a big thing in the US, but Slack has never really picked up as much in India. There is a little bit of adoption, but not in the same level. So that's why I think WhatsApp newsletters work a lot better than email newsletters for the Indian market. We got this idea actually from Abhinav Chikara. If you remember, he was one of our first interviews, and this is one of the lessons we learned from him: is to don't do email in India. Instead, do some other kind of messaging platform. Okay. Another question that we get a lot is: should I do a WhatsApp group or should I do a broadcast list? What is better? And this is the last question before we get into the actual steps of how to build your own WhatsApp list. So yeah, Siddharth, what's your take on it?
So both are okay. Honestly, I think both work, and we've seen both work fairly well. Both are scalable. There are pros and cons to both. On the groups, it's low touch, so you put out the link, and people can just join the group. But the problem is the groups kept getting filled up, so you need to change the links every single time the group has filled up, or it's at 200 capacity because 256 is the group capacity. Versus on the broadcast link, it could be just one link where it doesn't really need to change, but it comes with a lot more effort. On the broadcast list, you have to ensure that they save your number, and then you have to save their number in your broadcast list. Broadcast lists also have that limitation of 256 people per broadcast list, so you have to create multiple broadcast lists, right? Apart from that, I think there's a privacy concern, which is on WhatsApp groups, you'll have to the other numbers are sort of exposed, which in our case didn't really matter because it was generic content, not anything personal or anything like that. And we've kept the groups admin only, so only Sahil and I can really post there. So it technically acts as a newsletter. You might get access to other numbers, but you don't really know what their names are or anything like that. Yeah, just research a little more on what works for you, and then just choose that.
Yeah, we chose groups because we didn't want to spend that time saving the numbers. Also, at that time, we didn't think it would become that big. And also, if you're going to a broadcast list, you need a separate number because you need to make that into a business account. You need to change the name to whatever that thing is going to be, the Indian Dream broadcast list, right? So, because of all of those things, and we didn't think it would become that big, So we just made groups. We expected no more than like 100, 200 people at max in our first group. And yeah, it kind of went crazy from there. And to take it a bit further on what you said about having to change the link, our second WhatsApp group, we now have like 9 or 10. On our second WhatsApp group, every time somebody leaves, within a day, somebody new joins. So there is one link of that second group which is doing really well somewhere, and we don't know where it is. And people keep joining, and we want to update it to the latest one, and we cannot. And this is a major issue with groups. On the
It
other
can be
hand,
solved though. It can be solved. There are services where you can redirect links. We are stingy like that, so we've not paid for those services. But yeah, we'll get to why that link is somewhere and we don't know where it's coming from. That's actually one of the steps in how to build a newsletter,
yeah,
WhatsApp newsletter.
and on the broadcast list part, I've seen these guys with like 3,000 broadcast members, and their contact list is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because they can't save their names, right? So it's just like it completely ruins your phone. Anyway, whatever.
Probably you probably need a separate device and a separate business account to do this.
Exactly. We didn't want to spend all that money. Okay, now what are the steps into building your own WhatsApp list? It's actually quite easy. I wouldn't say easy. It requires a bit of effort, but you have to be patient, and you have to make sure that you follow the steps over and over and over and over again. And you have to make sure that you're not scared. I remember recently, so usually Siddharth shares the messages on the groups, and I had to share the message for the first time in months, and I had to send it to 1,500 people. It was kind of scary. So you have to be very self confident in yourself to be able to run a WhatsApp. Okay, what are the steps? And I think the first step, I'm going to get it tattooed on my arm, because we say this for every single thing that we discuss. Pick a niche and go really deep into that niche. Because if you do something really broad, if you just like saying, hey man, I'm going to share a really interesting article with you every day, that's really, unless you're some big influencer like Elon Musk, it's just too broad. People will not be interested. So we said that we are going to share interesting entrepreneurial stories and entrepreneurial ideas and entrepreneurial opportunities. And that is our niche, and we only stick to that. And that's why people keep joining our WhatsApp group every day. Yeah. So that's step number one. What's step number two, Siddharth?
When you're getting anything off the ground, I think you need to depend on friends and family and your immediate network to give it the initial boost. And that's what we did. We spammed our friends and family saying that this is what we're doing. Here's the link, come join, right? Gives you the initial boost. You know, there's an audience, keeps you accountable. We got, I think, 100 and 150 people just doing this. And that's the first step, really. Like, just go out and spam your friends and family.
Yeah, one thing that I was very surprised by was we put it in our WhatsApp status. You know that WhatsApp stories thing that nobody uses, but some people do check it. I don't know who those crazy people are, and we got about 5 or 10 people who just joined from that. So stuff like this, all these small things. Put it up on your social media. Put it up on your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. You have to be self-confident enough to do this.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there.
And important part, once you get, and this is probably step 3 also, but once you get your friends and family, do not push them to get their network just yet. There will be a time and place to do that, but first you need to start creating consistently good content, right? When you're starting out, the definition of good is fairly, don't sort of beat yourself up on like if the content is good or not.
Check out this video. Not very good content.
Yeah.
But yeah, just start. Right.
Yeah.
When we started the podcast, it was not very good. You should check out some of our first episodes. You should check out this video series that we're doing. It's terrible. The video is terrible. The lighting is terrible. The audio is bad as well. But at least we are doing content and the subject matter is good. So make sure that you're putting it out consistently, and very, very, very important, have a call to action at the end of all of your content pieces saying, join this group and here is the link. The reason is, if somebody likes it and they share that content piece with their friend, that friend will then be able to join your group as well. We never did this. We learned it very recently from somebody else. And now that has dramatically increased the number of people joining our groups.
Yeah. And
Okay.
even for the content that we used to create, actually, we never did it on the WhatsApp group, but for the content that we used to create, the podcast and the newsletter, beginning of every episode or the beginning of newsletter, we used to say that, hey, if you want summaries of the content that we're creating, come join this no spam group, right? One of the biggest fears that people have joining WhatsApp groups is the good morning messages that you're going to start getting on those groups are random forwards, right? We categorically kept saying this is no spam because it's admin only and we post only 2-3 times a week.
Okay. Step number 4 is start posting the content summaries and the links to your WhatsApp group on social media. I think this is obvious. Just get over that fear and just do it. Step number 5. Now this is where we get into asking your group members to refer their friends and their family to join. Because let's say you've been creating content consistently for 1 month, the people on your group who are still there like what you're making, and you can tell them like, hey, if you like what we're doing, please share it with your friends, your families, your alumni networks, or any other community that you're a part of. So this was one of the very initial inflection points that we had. We had a group member who shared it with the SP Jain alumni network. That got us 100 people out of the blue. Like we were just like, where the hell are these people coming from? We were very scared about what was happening. And then just a week later, somebody shared it with the IIT Bombay alumni group. And then again, we were like, what the hell is happening? So this sharing it on these big communities can get you members very fast. But you need to make sure that you've built that relationship over a long period of time by having good content. One thing that we forgot to mention, every time somebody joins one of our WhatsApp groups, we always welcome them. We have around 2,000 people who have joined. We have messaged almost all of them except for the first maybe 100 people who joined, 100 to 100 people. So that builds that kind of familiarity. It builds that personal bond, and they're more likely to share your WhatsApp group with other people.
Yeah.
Okay. Step number 6, Siddharth.
Cross promotions. I mean, there are so many good content creators out there, and every content creator is trying to reach as many more people as they can. That's really why they're creating content. So try and figure out who are these other content creators who might have a target segment overlap. So if they're targeting the same group of people or set of people that you're targeting, try and do a cross promotion because it's a win-win. And what you'll need to do here is you'll need to make sure that if you have, let's say, 1,000 people on the group, don't reach out to somebody who has 50,000. There is nothing in it for them to actually cross collaborate. So make it a win-win where you reach out to people who are in the same range and say that, hey, let's do a cross promotion and let's promote each other, right? We did one with Dine with Data and it was extremely successful. They were the reason why one of our groups filled out in less than an hour, right? And possibly could have been more if it was a broadcast list. So that's one of the things that you can consider, because the link got filled very quickly. 256 people joined. There were people who were not able to join our group because it was full, right? So that's the trade-off of doing groups versus broadcast lists. But cross promotions, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. It should be one of your metrics for every single month, that you should be doing at least one cross promotion every month.
Yeah, we've spoken to a lot of creators about cross promotions. I've never spoken to a single creator who said no. Creators love doing cross promotions. Usually, they're very open. They're very happy to do it, and it's definitely something that you should target doing for sure. Now, step number 7 is just kind of a joke. It's be patient. You will not find overnight success. We've been working hard at this for the last 7-8 months about growing our WhatsApp group, and they've gotten to 2,000 people. Other people I've spoken to, yeah, they took a year to get to 2,000, 3,000 people. It's very normal. It takes time, but once you reach that inflection point, you just start growing much faster. Our first WhatsApp group, I think, took us 2 months to fill up. Then each subsequent WhatsApp group after that filled up faster and faster and faster and faster. It's just about reaching that inflection point. It's just about making sure that you're just doing it day in, day out. And yeah, just keep at it.
Yeah,
And,
as they say, I think slowly, and then all at once. I think that's really what happens in this entire game. It's going to feel like slow burn, and you're going to think like, why am I doing this just for two WhatsApp groups? Is it really worth building a WhatsApp newsletter? It's extremely beneficial to build a WhatsApp newsletter, especially in India. So if you're a content creator focused on the Indian diaspora, do it. Go out and create a WhatsApp newsletter. All right. With that, I think this is the 8th day of live sessions. Thank you for joining us. Like, share, subscribe, and let us know if there's anything we could do better. I know one of our viewers actually gave us suggestions on the lighting and the mic, and we've improved some of those things. Hopefully, the videos are better. But we're